Hey, what's up? I just want to talk about the what's going on with the native instruments. In my opinion, my take on it. I know nobody gives a fuck, but I'm just gonna kind of throw it out there. Hopefully, some of these developers will and these companies will listen. They might hear what I have to say, and hopefully, it helps them, especially with what's going on with NI. So in about 2010, Machine came out, and Machine was like a force. It was like this new thing. Before that, you either made music on hardware, which was way too fucking expensive for any consumer, really. Any consumer couldn't afford most things. I grew up reading Source magazine and seeing ads for NPCs and knowing that like I would never be able to own an NPC. Coming from like my tax bracket and where I come from, I was like that was never gonna happen, man. 20 years later, I own, I became an adult and I started making money or whatever, and I was able to buy NPCs or whatever, but or buy devices. So when the machine Mark One came out, it was revolutionary because you either were working on hardware and you had some money, and even though the hardware was kind of limited, it was like the only way to accomplish what most people were doing, or you use software. And if you use software, it was like people looked down on you. They looked at you like you were poor, or the sound quality wasn't as good. There's like a lot of myths, really, and a lot of people still believe in these myths and stuff that talk about converters and all this shit about like, oh, the old NPCs have these converters that make the drums sound like amazing and all, it. And there's like some truth to that, but if you understand like the if you know how to work an EQ, you could like it's not even noticeable the difference. You could achieve the same result if you with software. It's very possible. The analog culture is kind of going the way of the buffalo, especially with emulations. That's not what this video is about. Anyways, I'm gonna get to the point. So in 2010, Native Instruments kind of like explodes on the scene. They pay a bunch of like influencers. They weren't at the time. They're just musicians or whatever to display the product, and you get a piece of hardware, a controller, like a MPD was probably a good reference point for people who were making beats at the time. You get this controller, and it is integrated with software that runs on your computer, and it allows you to do a lot of things with in terms of producing music or making beats. And you could use the controller without having to look at the screen, but so you could plug it into the computer, not have to look at the screen, and you're able to make beats on this fucking thing. And that was really appealing to people because what happens over time and what's like really prevalent and plaguing current music today is that people are doing a lot of music inbox and they're glued to the fucking grid. So everything is sounding so similar that you can't escape it. You hear the same shit. Everybody gets the same drum sounds from the same places. They're using the same fucking hi-hats. Everybody is programming the same hi-hat patterns. This shit is genre now, so everybody's doing drill. This is Afrobeat, and so the human element and like developing a style and all that shit's kind of like gone now. It's gone the way of the buffalo. Anyways, I'm fucking diverging. I'm So it was a big thing. It was revolutionary. The company did well. They sold a lot of units. They where I think they fucked up outside of like current economics, and what I see a lot of companies doing, and it's like fucking disgusting. It's really bad. Like I understand, but I guess the best analogy was is there used to be DLC for video games, and it kind of was warranted because it would like expand the game or add new features, and it would make the game like a better game, right? And then they kind of came up with this pay to play model, and they would like kind of try to expand the product by adding shit to it after the game's launched, and then they try to make it like a annual or subscription model, and that really fucked up the market. And it took a lot of people out. Like they stopped supporting these companies and shit, and that kind of has been going on. Realistically, it's been happening to a lot of music developers, like instrument developers. um the best rival to all that shit is probably FL Studio. You buy that shit once, you pay the fee once, and you get everything. And it annually updates. You get all the new shit. You don't have to worry about it. I don't know how that business model works, but it makes it so accessible that everybody uses it, and it stays in like the zeitgeist of music. So and everybody knows it exists. And if anybody's going to start making music, odds are they're going to use FL Studio, if especially if they come from like a financially strict background. And then Koala Sampler. Koala Sampler is just fucking so accessible. It does what a machine does in 2010 on your phone. It does what an MPC does in 2000 in like 1988 on your phone. It's like the technology is there. These companies are seeing diminishing returns because they have to pay for the parts and the components for the devices, assemble the devices, and then hope that people buy into their ecosystem and then continue this pay to play model where they're buying their sounds, their fucking VSTs, their effects, software effects, everything from within the company. And what happens is the developers, they understand this, and so it becomes like a flaw in their program design, and it causes them um to intentionally place limitations on the gear and make it so you buy a piece of gear that does certain things specifically well, but it doesn't allow you to do things that it should. Like it has the ability to do far more than what it's doing currently, and they call it planned obsolescence. So they make it so, hey man, this gear does this very well. A perfect example of this is the Electron company, who like I own their products, but here's an example. This does what this doesn't. This can play multiple samples, like polyphonic samples, if I wanted to play a chord at the same time, right? This can chop samples like a traditional sampler, right? I could chop up a sample and play it like any boom bap beat or any trip hop beat or any beat that uses samples, downs, whatever, garage. But this doesn't. This realistically probably has enough software capability, or has enough the components in this are advanced enough to probably achieve what this does by playing multiphonic samples, yet this doesn't do that. This can definitely get a chop machine that would be able to do these. You could like it's completely feasible for all of these machines that this product does. The one shot, the warp, the stretch, the repitch, the slice, the grid, all of these things um, could be a software update on this for free and work flawlessly, and it wouldn't cause issues or glitches or anything. With my very primitive understanding of this shit and of the way electronic and technologies work, I know for a fact that like any they would patch that shit out of existence if there was any bugs or any problems. The reason this does what this doesn't and this does what this doesn't is because they want more money from you. They want you to buy the product. So in the actual core design of the product, when they say we're gonna come out with the Digitech 2, what's it gonna do? Okay, it needs to be better than the Digitech 1. Okay. What did the Digitech 1 do? It played mono samplers. They couldn't use stereo samples. Okay, that's a basic improvement we could put. Totally feasible. Technology's far enough. That's not even hard to accomplish at this point. Fuck, your cell phone can do it. Okay, what else can it do? Well, how many tracks did the original Digitrack have? Had 8 tracks. Yeah, that's like an archaic limitation. We don't need to do that. The specs on this device are going to be so advanced it can have twice as many tracks. 16 tracks. Okay, cool. So they make it advanced enough for you to want to buy into the ecosystem and use the product, but they don't go like they don't go full retard, or they don't fully commit to it because they need you to not just buy this. They need you to buy this, but they also need you to buy this. And then they also need you to buy a fucking an analog rhythm, or a fucking Syntag because it has analog. They're not making a device for the betterment of the consumer. They're making a device to sell you. I think that's what happened with Native Instruments, is that when it came out, it was revolutionary. It made it offered studio quality sound for a affordable price to like the average musician, and it gave you a lot of capabilities. Gave you, it had really good effects. It had like sample libraries, all kinds of stuff. It had like a Rompler type scenario. It had its own plugins that were pretty advanced for the time. Massive reactor, all these things, and it was like a godsend. It was like a DAW that had a hardware controller that you could primarily focus on the hardware controller, so you didn't get lost in the grid. You didn't get lost using a mouse. You're physically playing like your rhythms because of the controller. You weren't like just clicking the shit in, and it was a good product, so it sold. We're at a point where the economy is kind of getting rough. People aren't spending money like they used to, and you have to appeal to a demographic and keep them in your ecosystem. But the truth is that people are, you know, if they're tight on money, they're just gonna get a DAW. You're gonna get a DAW, and you're gonna get a controller. If anybody just starting out making music right now, and you wanted to make like electronic or like beat type music, I would tell you right now to just fucking get $20 and buy Koala Sampler, and then use Koala Sampler well enough to learn how to use it. And if you enjoyed it, then from there, make it like check out some pieces of gear and make an informed decision. But from there, what I would tell you is to get a MIDI controller, and then get a DAW, and then learn that DAW thoroughly, because you'll be able to accomplish far more with the DAW than you would any piece of hardware gear that they currently sell. These are like a luxury item. These aren't necessary. There are certain things that these things do. They give you opportunities to achieve certain things or certain sounds or certain techniques. They make it like more feasible, more accessible to do certain things than it would be to try to achieve that through other means. But they're not necessary. If there was a specific thing that you wanted to do, like, hey, I like this tone from this song, this synth tone, you're far better off getting a DAW, taking the stock preset that comes with the DAW, trying to figure out how to recreate that sound, and then finding out like what form of synthesis it is, and then what you would need to apply, what filters, what kind of modulation, where's the LFO, like that type of shit. You'll be far more accomplished and far better composer if you did that, comparing to buying these products. If Native Instruments, if they want to come back, if they want to exist at this point and they don't want to declare bankruptcy, the best thing they can fucking do, in complete honesty, is they should come out with a Native Instruments mobile app for the phone and make it dirt cheap, but figure out a creative way, and to keep it relevant, like make it like look at other music apps that are successful, look at their price point, try to figure out what it can do, and then make it so you can transfer your files, your stems from that to a hardware controller standalone that is at the price point of this, like a SP404. If they did that, I guarantee it would work for the company. I think that's the smartest thing they can do. If you look at what the Machine Plus is, it's really not powerful. Even when it came out, when you looked at the specs, it was like questionable why somebody would buy that if they were doing anything outside of sample based production. It has massive, you can load instances of presets and everything, but it's not like it was competing with fucking any gear at the time that would fit in that market. Like, I don't know, I'm kind of rambling, but that's my feeling on it. I think if Native Instruments really wants to survive, they should do that. They should take the Nintendo Switch 2 approach or Switch approach and say, hey, look, there's a shitload of money in the handheld market. Um, and most people don't want to spend a fucking $1,000 on a fucking device. They just don't. No musician wants to do that. Like, even seasoned musicians who buy guitars, like, you know, they're not gonna be like your general consumer. They're not like you got to cast a wider net. You have to stop with this bullshit, hey, and try to get them in to continuously buy packs and shit like that. What you need to do is you need to sell them something that's a quality product that they buy once and they fucking own. They buy it, they pay the money, they own. If you add anything of substance like new features and like um like you expand on like the basis of what it is, the same way that FL Studio or Koala Sampler does, where it's like it started in it with only so much functionality, and then you increase that functionality, and then you want to charge them like a realistic fee that a human being who makes music, like, or just anybody, even if they just do it like for fun, like most people do, would spend in order to get whatever that is that increased or made the product better. That's what you should do. That's your best hope. That's all you can do. If you don't do that, you're anything else I think you would attempt to do would just be fucked. You're probably thinking of selling out to another music company or doing a merger of some sort. Um, you could definitely do that. You kind of already did that with Akai. selling like you kind of did the sound packs and the VSTs that cross over on the Akai, and those are good. But even like even by today's standards, even though a lot of people will say those sounds are good, people aren't necessarily gonna gravitate to those sounds because they're super achievable. There's nothing complex about any of those fucking sound kits, those sound libraries, those they're virtually contact instruments. A lot of them are focus on making sounds like that are interesting but usable. Don't make a bunch of bullshit presets and sell like a synth VST and people and there's no practical use for the fucking VST preset that you're selling in this pack. Like 200 presets, but nobody would be able to play a fucking chord with it because it's so fucking complex. You can't be there, and you can't be so simple that it's like, hey man, this is a basic wave table. Like it's a square wave that sounds like a guitar, so that's the guitar preset type shit. You have to find the nuance in between and have people that are experienced and popular make your presets for these devices. Anyways, that was like a fucking rant and a huge tangent. I don't know if anybody's gonna pull anything from that at all. I hope that Native Instruments survive. I think they were revolutionary at the time, man. They made it like I had a micro, and it was even from then the problem that I'm talking about of like, hey man, the planned obsolescence of what it did in comparison to like the machine, the regular MK model. It was like the micro was allowed to shift hold this and blah 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 whatever, and the design of it didn't have to be that way. The workflow didn't have to be that way. There was better ways to do it even then from the first MK model that went the machine and the machine micro from the first micro model. It was so fucking convoluted, man. It was still like cool to be able to have a piece of gear that works like that, but you could not use the micro solely without having to use the computer. Like, and that was by design. That was to make people who bought the fucking micro who wanted to test the waters to see if they like this product to push them to buy the flagship mainstream fucking like brand selling product that like and when companies do this shit, it's just bad. You're casting a wide net, hoping that you have a good yield. And that has to rely on flash of the pan gimmicks. Hey man, we're gonna pay 10 fucking top selling producers to do a commercial that makes our product look really good. But this guy is actually really talented, and if you gave him fucking 3 strands of your sister's armpit hair and a trash can, he'd make a hot ass beat. Like it's fucking retarded, man. And like trying to sell people based on like the image of things, it's old, man. Like people don't care about that anymore. Most people aren't like trying to I don't know. Most people who are doing this shit aren't fucking getting money on Spotify or like making a living doing it. So you gotta change your approach, man. I really hope you survive. I'm praying for your staff, man. I know that you guys are like layoffs and like this could be it for NI, man. But yeah, that's just my 2 cents. That was a fucking huge rant. Thank you for watching, man. And I pray for you guys. I wish the best for you.